Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Mitchell here. In this video we're going to go over 3 worked examples to show you how to do problems involving emission spectra. Now if you haven't already done so, check out my previous video covering the theory on this topic, and that way you can apply what you learned in that video to this one. So let's get started. Question 1 says the diagram represents some electron transitions between energy levels in an atom. So we've got energy level E0, the ground state, we've then got excited states E1, E2 and E3, and we've got some arrows showing some possible electron transitions. We've then got our values for the energy levels at the side. Part A says an electron transition between 2 energy levels causes a photon to be emitted. This photon is the lowest possible frequency. Between which 2 energy levels did the electron move? Explain your answer. Remember that the lowest frequency means the smallest energy change or energy difference, delta E, and that comes from the expression delta E equals HF, which tells us that delta E is directly proportional to F. That is, the smaller the frequency, the smaller the change in energy. So here we can see that the smallest change in energy goes from E3 to E2, so we can say it's the transition E3 to E2 shown with an arrow. Part B says to calculate the frequency of this photon. Well, first we want to find the energy difference between the 2 energy levels. So writing down what we know from the question, we're trying to find delta E, and looking back at the picture we're using E3 and E2, so we want to use these values, minus 1.4 times 10 to the minus 19 joules and minus 2.4 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. So for E3 we can say that's equal to minus 1.4 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, and E2 is minus 2.4 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. So writing down our expression for the energy difference, delta E, that's equal to E3 minus E2. Substituting in the numbers gives minus 1.4 times 10 to the minus 19 minus 2.4 times 10 to the minus 19. And remember, this double negative will give out a positive answer for our change in energy. And if you put that into your calculator, you should get an answer of 1 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. Now what we need to do is calculate the frequency. So writing down what we know from the question, we're trying to find the frequency F. We know the change in energy delta E is 1 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, and Planck's constant H from the datasheet is 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 joule seconds. Writing down our equation relating delta E and F, we have delta E equals HF. Substituting in the numbers gives 1 times 10 to the minus 19 is equal to 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 times F. Then doing the left hand side divided by 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 in your calculator should give you a value for F of 1.5 times 10 to the 14 Hertz. Question 2 says the following diagrams represent some of the energy levels for 2 different atoms P and Q. The diagrams are drawn to the same scale. So there's the energy levels for atom P, and they're labelled P2, P1 and P0. And then we've got the energy levels for atom Q, and they're labelled Q3, Q2, Q1 and Q0. So we've got one more energy level in atom Q than we do in atom P, and the picture shows electrons at the top energy levels. It then says electrons are continuously excited to levels P2 and Q3. So that's P2 there and Q3 there. When electrons make transitions to lower energy levels, photons of light are emitted. This light is observed as various lines in the emission spectrum of each atom. So for part A it says for both atoms determine the number of lines in the emission spectrum for the energy levels shown. Well, the way we can do this is to draw arrows going from one energy level down to another. So remember, because we're talking about emission spectra, the electrons are going to be moving down the way to emit photons. So we can show arrows going down the way from different energy levels to show all the possible transitions. So we could have electrons going first of all from P2 to P1. We could also have electrons going from P2 to P0. And then we could also have electrons going from P1 to P0. And that's all for atom P, so we could say that for atom P there should be 3 lines in the emission spectrum. And then for atom Q we can do the same, so electrons could move from Q3 to Q2, they could move from Q3 to Q1, or they could move from Q3 to Q0. Electrons could also move from Q2 to Q1, or from Q2 to Q0, and lastly electrons could also move from Q1 to Q0. And that's all of them for atom Q, so for atom Q we could say there should be 6 lines in the emission spectrum. Part B says considering both atoms, identify the transition that produces radiation of the lowest frequency. Well, remember the lowest frequency F means the smallest change in energy or smallest energy difference, and just like in question 1, that comes from the relationship delta E equals HF, where we can say that delta E is directly proportional to the frequency F. So that means the smaller F means the smaller change in energy. So we just need to look at the transitions for both atoms here and see which one is going to give the smallest energy change. Well, it's going to be this transition for atom Q, which goes from Q3 to Q2, because that is the smallest arrow there. So therefore we could write Q3 to Q2 with an arrow, or you could just write the word 2. Part C says the table shows information about the energy levels in atom P. So we've got energy level P2, P1 and P0, and then their energies in joules. And it says calculate the shortest wavelength of radiation emitted from atom P. Well, firstly we need to realise that the shortest wavelength means the highest frequency, since wavelength and frequency are inversely proportional. And then we should know from the same logic in part B that highest frequency means the greatest energy difference this time, the greatest change in energy. And again, that comes from the relationship delta E is directly proportional to F. So for atom P, if we look for the greatest energy change or energy difference, that's going to be the largest arrow, which goes from P2 to P0. So we can say the transition is from P2 to P0. So therefore, we want to first find the energy difference between the two energy levels from P2 to P0. So we can say that delta E is what we're trying to find. P2 is minus 2.4 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, and P0 is minus 21.8 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, where both of these values were from the table. And we're going to use the letter P here instead of E because we're talking about atom P. So we have delta E equals E2 minus E0, which equals P2 minus P0 in this case. So substituting in the numbers, we have minus 2.4 times 10 to the minus 19, minus 21.8 times 10 to the minus 19. And remember, this double negative will give you a positive here, which will give you a positive value for the energy difference. So putting that into your calculator should give you an answer of 1.94 times 10 to the minus 18 joules. And now we're in a position to calculate the wavelength. So writing down what we know from the question, we're trying to find lambda. We know that delta E, the change in energy, is 1.94 times 10 to the minus 18 joules from above. We also have Planck's constant H is 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 joule seconds, and speed of light c is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second, where both of these values here are from the datasheet. We have delta E equals hf, which is the same as being equal to hc over lambda, where we're just using the wave equation, remember, to replace the f with v over lambda, which is the same as c over lambda, since the speed is our speed of light here. So substituting in our numbers gives 1.94 times 10 to the minus 18 equals 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 times 3 times 10 to the 8 divided by lambda. And then to get lambda on its own, we can swap both of these terms. So we get lambda equals the numerator here divided by 1.94 times 10 to the minus 18. And if you put that into your calculator, you should get an answer of lambda equals 1.03 times 10 to the minus 7 meters, which is the same as 103 nanometers. Now, just to point out, you could do this calculation all at once, where instead of finding the energy difference first and then subbing it in here, you could just do this working of this energy, take away this energy in this step here, if that makes it easier for you. Part D then says the emission line due to the transition from P2 to P1 is the same colour as the emission line due to the transition from Q2 to Q1. Explain this observation. Well, we can say that the P2 to P1 and Q2 to Q1 energy gaps are the same size, so the frequency of the emitted light is the same. So that is, the energy differences or energy changes here are the same, so the frequency or the wavelength of the light must be the same as well. And lastly, for part E, it says the emission line due to the transition from P2 to P1 is brighter than the emission line due to the transition from Q2 to Q1. Explain this observation. Well, we can say the line from P2 to P1 is brighter because more electrons make this transition each second, hence more photons are emitted each second. So remember, it's to do with more electrons making that same transition, which causes a brighter line on the line emission spectrum, and it's not due to electrons making a bigger energy jump. Lastly, question 3 says accurate measurements of the wavelength of that hydrogen alpha line on Earth have determined it to be 656.28 nanometers. The following diagram shows some of the energy levels for the hydrogen atom. So we have E1, E2, E3 and E4 all with their energy values at the side. And it says identify the transition between these energy levels that produces the hydrogen alpha line. Justify your answer by calculation. Well, first we want to calculate the energy difference using the given wavelength. So we're trying to find delta E here. We know that Planck's constant H is 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 joule seconds. The speed of light c is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second, and lambda is 656.28 nanometers, which we need to change into meters, which becomes 656.28 times 10 to the minus 9 meters. So writing down our equation relating delta E and lambda, we have delta E equals hf equals hc over lambda. Substituting in the numbers gives 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34 times 3 times 10 to the 8 divided by 656.28 times 10 to the minus 9, and then putting that into your calculator should give you an answer of 3.03 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. Now what we want to do is find the energy difference between two energy levels that gives the same answer as the above, because remember, this energy difference here gives us the energy of the emitted photons, and the photon energy must be equal to the difference between the two energy levels. So in order to find the energy levels that the electrons are moving between, we can do a sort of trial and error with the energy differences between different energy levels to see which two are going to give a difference of this energy value here. So to get a value of 3.03 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, you might be able to spot how we could get that. So remember, we're taking away a lower energy level here from a higher energy level. So for example, if we did minus 1.36 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, minus this value here, we're going to be adding on 2.42 to minus 1.36, which is not going to give us 3.03 in the end. And for example, if we did E2 to E1, you would be doing minus 5.45 plus the 21.8. So that's not going to give you 3.03. But you might be able to spot here that a transition from E3 to E2 would give you 3.03 as your starting digits for the energy difference. So let's prove this, because the question said to justify it by calculation. So delta E is what we're trying to find. E3 is minus 2.42 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, and E2 is minus 5.45 times 10 to the minus 19 joules. So writing down an expression for delta E, we have delta E equals E3 minus E2. Substituting in the numbers gives minus 2.42 times 10 to the minus 19 minus 5.45 times 10 to the minus 19. And putting that into your calculator should give you an answer of 3.03 times 10 to the minus 19 joules as expected. So therefore we can say that because these energy differences match, the transition must be from E3 to E2, which you can show with an arrow or with the word 2. That's all for this video, folks. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. Make sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.